Consistency is sort of like a byproduct of even being clear on your goals. Because if you're not clear, then how are you supposed to be consistent? You're already consistent. You're just consistently inconsistent. Welcome to episode 48 of Coach's Corner with Justin and Ethan. I am Coach Justin.
And I am Coach Ethan.
And today we're going to be talking all about consistency and how to just kind of take the ethereal concept of consistency and make it material and create objective, quantifiable steps to just really make your goals and your dreams really for your life come true. You know, I think it's so easy to just like keep these dreams and these goals and ambitions out there.
Yeah.
But like one thing, I used to be an actor, in case you guys didn't know. Back in my 20s, and my old acting coach was like, if you keep things in the future, they tend to stay in the future. And so it's like, what you want in your life, like stop telling yourself later, or don't get stuck in this like when then fallacy. Oh, well, when I have more time, then I will work out, or when I have more money, then I'll start saving money. That kind of like rat race that you then realize you've burned through all your good years and you haven't done the damn thing that you keep waiting for.
Right.
And so consistency is really just like, well, what are we being consistent with? And it's about your goals. And it's about the things that are important to you.
Absolutely.
And so I think we can't really talk about consistency without talking about the goals that we have that we're trying to be consistent with: eating better, getting to bed on time, working out,
getting our steps in,
these kind of things. And so I think that it's like first getting clear on what it is you want.
Yep.
And then sort of distilling that into like, it's like chunking it down from like, okay, the big boulder of our big goal, our big, hairy, audacious goal. That's the big boulder. And now let's break that boulder into 4 rocks.
Yeah.
And those 4 rocks are like maybe each quarter of the year. And then let's break those 4 rocks into 12 smaller pebbles. And then those pebbles are each week of that quarter. And let's break those little pebbles down into 90 little pieces of sand. And those 90 pieces of sand are each day.
Yep.
Right? And so we start with the big goal, and then you just like chunk it down to like, now what are you going to do tomorrow?
Right. And the day after?
It's very hard to do all that work and then just not follow through on it. I think the follow through sometimes is a product of clarity in your goal. And if you don't go, just at least take in the framework of like big goal, quarterly objective, weekly agenda, daily to-dos, weekly milestones, daily to-dos. And then like go through all that and then just not do it. Like, of course, you're going to be more likely to do it.
Absolutely. Have a clear roadmap ready to go.
Put yourself to that mental exercise of that. So that's I think consistency is sort of like a byproduct of even being clear on your goals. Because if you're not clear, then how are you supposed to be consistent?
Yeah, I do think, because I think it is very common. Like without a plan, it's so easy to just flail and swim. You don't have a compass, you don't have a direction. And so to put the effort forth of being consistent with some type of practice becomes difficult, because like, what direction do I even go? You might have the intent of losing weight, and you have to kind of eat better and exercise or something of that nature, but then you're just like, well, what does that look like?
Right.
I guess I'll go hit the gym 5 days. There's not that concrete roadmap that makes it that much easier, because the consistency will always take some type of effort. But if you just got it laid out in front of you, all you got to do is show up then and do the damn thing with whatever it is.
And also, you're already consistent. You're just consistently inconsistent. So everybody's
the paradox,
consistent.
Exactly. Yes,
it's something. In your ability to find reasons to postpone taking action, you are fucking consistent with that.
Just gotta change the lens a little bit. You're like, oh, look at how consistent I really am.
No, but all jokes aside, so it's like, okay, if you don't know why you're doing something, or if you don't tie the emotional element with the logical element, it's very hard to keep renewing and keep coming at it each day and trying and putting out your best effort and then just showing up. One thing that I struggle with consistency is content creation. So, I really would love, in a perfect world, I would have a nice, fresh, clean, edited, polished, like 30 to 60 second video to publish every day.
Every day, yeah.
Theoretically, I know what it takes to get there. Like I know I need to block off probably 4 to 6 hours a week to just write the 7 scripts. They're 30-second scripts. It doesn't take long.
Yeah, but get it on video.
Write the script out and then just set the lighting and set the cameras up and just go and take a couple cracks at each one until I get it right. Like I've done thousands of these. I know how to do it, but that's something that I struggle with. And then so like it's so easy. It's the holidays. It's whatever, and you just don't do it. And you're like, oh, I haven't posted anything in like 3 days. And I know that's the same feeling a lot of people feel with like their workouts and their nutrition.
Yep.
But what gets me reinvigorated and ready to just keep showing up and just keep trying is I think through why I even want to do that in the first place. So what is posting every day? What does posting a video every day mean? Why would that matter?
What benefit does it have?
It means that I have brand equity. It creates more know, like, and trust factor with my audience. It's a form of creating so much undeniable proof that I am who I say I am, that no one can question me when we get on calls.
Right.
It's a way for me to organize my own thoughts and make my own feeling and beliefs and theories more concise, because I'm scripting out my own ideas on fitness and everything, and then putting it in video form.
Distilling your own knowledge.
And it's building brand where maybe, there at some point in the future that might benefit me in some way. It's sort of like an investment in the future. And so there are all these, the pros outweigh the cons. And I think that someone could take the same thing with the nutrition, and if they just took a second, like, well, why do I want to lose this weight? Like, why do I want to eat healthy? Well, I want to be a better role model for my kids. Right. I want to feel more attractive to my spouse.
I just want to feel better.
I want to feel more energetic.
Yeah, I don't want to be out of breath as I walk up a flight of stairs.
I want to be able to know that if like anything were to go down with my family, I could defend them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a man, I mean, come on,
that's
right?
Huge,
like, could you imagine not being able to protect your kids?
No, it'd be a terrible feeling.
Right? Like if I'm going to lose a fight, I don't want it to be because the guy was in better shape than me.
Right, which is a lot of, could be a huge factor.
If you just get so gassed, you just fall over.
Yeah, if going over to put on a shoe and tie your shoe like hurt your back, it's difficult.
Right.
It's
I don't want to burden my family with having to watch me, be dependent of like a house nurse because I can't take care. So you start writing these things down. And you're like, oh fuck, that's why.
Yeah.
And then that's the motivation. Now you see the vision of yourself. And the other side of that coin is like, well, what does your life look like with it then? Now, what if you did have 20 more pounds of muscle and 40 pounds less body fat, and you did wake up feeling full of energy, and your wife looked at you like, or your husband looked at you like, damn, all right, come over here.
Yeah,
your kids were like, I want to be strong and fit like you and I grow up, mom or dad.
Right.
You walk into work and your coworkers are like, you look good.
Yeah, like, what's going on? Yeah, you got brightness in your eyes. You got the tiger. Yeah.
See that vision, and that's tying the logic of, yes, I need to be healthy because the people need to be healthy, with the emotion of like, ooh, this is my potential of who I could be. And then you just get clear on that, and you might have to do that a couple times a year as motivation inevitably wanes. But that's the goal. That's how you get consistent, is just getting crystal clear on why you're doing it and what the goal is and why that's important to you, and then chunking it down and just seeing the vision of your life.
The reverse engineering.
Yeah.
And I think it is really true, because the consistency is something I think that is so hard for people, because it's like we've talked about, when one commits to eating better or exercising, you can't ever give it up. It's for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's
a lifestyle, and I think consistency is so challenging because it's like the monkey on your back that never leaves you alone. Like, you can't get away from it. There is not, like, once a week, 3 times a week, every day, whatever the practice is that you're doing, you have to return over and over again.
Yep.
And inevitably those moments collide with not feeling your best, a poor night's sleep, getting into a fight, shitty traffic, not having food ready, whatever it might be that could create an obstacle to that consistent behavior. Yep. And then all of a sudden the little devil on the other shoulder sneaks in, and it's very easy. Yeah. I mean, just before we were talking about the podcast, we were talking about how easy it is to let go of a weight training session.
Yeah.
And we were comparing that to other, micro injuries and things, but Just even that just our legitimate conversation we were having with each other was including how it's just like, yeah, the weight training session is kind of like, yeah, it's easy to
so
let
easy
go.
to just let that go, let that take a back seat because of other life things that pop up in the moment.
Yeah. And so I think that's why so many people do fail, because I love the idea of becoming crystal clear on your goal and having that compass, because that is your roadmap, and if you don't know where you're going, you're just lost.
Yeah.
Right. It's like how many people have, the cliche of you're lost in the woods and you walk for hours and you find yourself in the same place.
Yep.
Walking like a big circle. So I think having the map is so important. But the thing I think that people overlook with all of this is that if you don't do it, nothing's going to happen,
Nope.
And in terms of the adaptations for exercise, our body needs to be reminded that the adaptations need to occur. It would be great if you could work out once a month and ring the bell and your body just says, oh, okay, I got the message. I'll work on this for 3 weeks. And then,
let me just keep building muscle for the next 3 weeks.
But it's not, you need to do it over and over again. And that's true for any behavior change, finances, your food even more so, because you have to eat every day throughout the day. And so it's the constant river that's never flowing that you have to participate with, that I think is so challenging for people because it never ends. And that mentality of switching over into a lifestyle is a hard one, because it's like, I remember listening to this guy kind of talk about working out, and he was one of these people that's like, oh, I try to work out 4 times a week, describing an individual, and like, oh, maybe I'll miss one, versus like the person that's like on vacation or whatever that just never misses a workout. And he was talking about like the person that's trying to integrate the behavior into their identity, and someone who's kind of crossed that line of integrating whatever behavior into their identity. Mm-hmm. And I think that consistency is something that inevitably breeds that outcome, but that is that kind of that switch. And I think until something's bred into your identity, until it's such a habit, until you identify with like, no, I really like a clean mouth, so I brush my teeth twice a day.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Whether you're on vacation or not.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't go out the window because of unusual circumstances. Not that I work out on vacation every time, but
or brushes his teeth.
No, well, that's definitely out.
but hypothetically,
one
could imagine.
Vacation keeps your mouth clean.
But that's an interesting point. And when I was saying earlier, one thing I struggle with is content creation, even though I know it's important and I know like how valuable that is for my line of work. To your point, like we just got back from like a 10-day Christmas trip. What I did do on that Christmas trip was I did work out. I mean, I worked out 3 or 4 times over that 10 days. So not as much as I would do it at home, but like I worked out. Like we every other day we went down and did like a 20-30 minute workout,
like in the hotel gym.
Yeah. Or just like I brought some bands. Yeah. I brought bands with me,
There it is. See, prepared.
So talk about weaving it into your identity. What I did not do on that trip though, however, was create content. Even though I brought my lapel mics and I brought like, I was going to do it on my phone or whatever, but like, I just didn't do it for one reason or the other. Oh, we had wine last night and I don't want to get on camera now. Or
I look too puffy. I don't feel my best.
Or the lighting's not great here. I mean, but like, that's all bullshit. Cause like I could have a person who would be struggling with consistency with exercise could have been like, oh, well, I don't have any equipment and we're just at my in-laws basement. I had wine. Yeah. But like, regardless, I still went down. I did resistance band and bodyweight workout. That regardless if I had wine or not, and like here I am in the exact same analogy, making excuses to not make a 30-second little talking head video about handling your nutrition over the holidays, which I could have done in one take because I made 100 of these. But I just didn't do it.
You could have recorded yourself exercising with bands and body weight on vacation and say,
it's
look,
so symbiotic.
Even though I'm on vacation, I'm still hitting it. So in this holiday season,
trust me,
I'm just thinking about it.
And like, trust me, like I like, this is like the inner struggle and turmoil that I have with this is like, I don't mind making content, just like most people don't mind a good workout. It's just not in my DNA yet. It's just not like, and I will use any excuse to just kick it off to the next day.
Yeah.
And so I get it. It's universal. You could take anything that you want in your life that you haven't like fully just like owned yet. That is the inner turmoil, this inner struggle that we deal with. And, but what helps me get motivated over and over again is that crystallization of the idea. And, until you're 20 years in and you bring your resistance bands on vacation with you,
right,
you might have to do that a couple times a year to just like re-engage of like, okay, what am I doing this for? Why is this? Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. I got to do that. Okay. Yeah, that's right. You know? So
it's definitely, and I think it is hard to kind of change our belief systems and change our identity and to truly change those kind of patterns of behavior. And for a long time, it's going to have to be a conscious decision. It won't be second nature where you just automatically bring the bands on vacation. You're going to have to choose to do a walk on vacation when you don't want to do a walk, or to do some squats, or do whatever it is. Yeah. And I think, and so it's, there's always going to be, I think, some form of that battle if we're striving to be a better version of ourselves, because ideally we're always trying to grow and take on something new, and we're going to kind of have to face the battle of being consistent at the new thing.
And be okay with like not getting instant results, like when I started exercising, I was 16 years old, and I was, 6'3", 150 pounds, just like all arms and legs and just like go gadget arms, right? I was very insecure. Started lifting weights at 16. I started with like, your classic, just like your classic like Target weight bench, with like the little standard weights, and you got to screw on the weights. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like looking through like a Men's Health magazine. What's a deadlift? I was trying to like go through the 3-image progression in Men's Health or Men's Fitness.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And I'm like, imagine 16 without having any experience, and I'm just like, I don't know. Did that for a few months. Ended up getting like a gym membership, some warehouse gym. And I'd go 3 times a week, bought like a booklet, and was kind of going through like a little mini course for men. This is back in 2001, 2002. So the internet was just like chat forums. There wasn't like courses like we have today where it's like immersive, and you're like, oh, that's
videos and questions, regressions.
No YouTube.
No,
none of that.
No YouTube.
You can't. So I'm just like in a chat forum with this guy who created like a muscle building program for young guys, essentially. And so we're just like in chat. So how do I press weight over my head? What?
You stand and you push.
Like, everything was just text. There's no images. I was just trying to understand. But anyway, so like point is that like that was 16. A year later, nothing changed. I was moving better. But like there was nothing physically changing in my body. I looked the exact same as I did a year ago. 18, after a full year of home stuff, and then now a full year of in the gym, weights were going up. Like strength was going up. My weight was the exact same. Did not put on any muscle. Looked the same beam pull. Right. 19, 3 years in of weight training, hitting my proteins, dialing in my macros, going on, mass.
Talk about being consistent and with faith.
Went from 150. I had already been lifting weights for 2 years.
Yeah.
But at 19, third year in, went from 150 pounds to 200 pounds. Put on 50 pounds in that calendar year.
So crazy.
Because finally, all these things just like clicked and lined up.
His balls finally dropped.
Yeah, well, there's a big hormonal shift for men around 19 where you finally kind of go into your man body,
the man juices,
the man energy. Yeah, but point of this is like, how many people do something for 6 months or a year and not really get the results they want and then quit?
Yeah,
which is a form of inconsistency.
Right.
Maybe you were really consistent for a year, but then you quit. So who gives a fuck?
And a year seems like a long time, but I think that people misunderstand or just what like life offers in terms of mastery of a skill. When you look at these like professional cooks and painters and sculptors and dancers, a lot of these people doing it since they were a kid or whatever, and now they're 50 years old, 60 years old, and the master has been doing it for 45 years. And the idea that like not seeing results to the degree that you think you should within 6 months, it's really such a small amount of time.
When you're living that 6 months, it feels like a lifetime.
When you've never done a certain thing and you're starting to cook food for the first time in your life, and 6 months in, twice a week, you're meal prepping and cooking food, you're just like, Jesus, this is a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can handle this.
Yeah. In the moment, when you're living that 6 months, in the moment, it feels like you've been doing it forever. In hindsight, it feels like nothing.
It's a blip. Yeah.
And my content creation is about a year old now. We've been doing this podcast for a year, all of 2024. I did my best with Reels. I'm 1 year in, and this is, and I think about that. I'm like, yeah, like people who kind of have a page that looks like I want mine to look like, they've been doing it for like 5 years, every day, churning out these videos. And like, that's the lesson, is just like anything worth doing in life takes time and effort, period.
Yeah, 100%.
Period. The cool thing though is that because things take time, while you're pursuing it, what you're doing is you're teaching yourself how to keep it, because when you learn how to work for something, you learn how to keep it. If it did just happen in a month, and you just got lucky and kind of won the social media lottery and got 1 million followers, and you don't even know how you did it, you don't know how to keep it.
Yeah, but that's the one viral video, but the body doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
Unfortunately, you have to be
if you had like good genetics, you did steroids or you did something like
Even
that.
then, I don't think a month would do it. And and the key takeaway, I think, is a couple things. I want to talk about some practical tips to be consistent before we end, but that especially with fitness and health, that consistency is the most important thing. And I think it's important to remember that doing something just to maintain the momentum is always going to be better than knocking out the whole thing. So even yesterday, my clients canceled, so I wasn't at my studio where I normally do my exercise. I didn't have access to weights, and I was supposed to do like an upper body day, and I had some bands and I was doing some stuff, but I was kind of just like not feeling like I was going to get what I needed out of it. Where I realized that I could do a lower body workout that would be body weight, kind of focus on mobility, and still be able to challenge me a lot easier without being in a gym full of weights and equipment. And so I pivoted, and I just did that at home, put on some music, and just did this like kind of body weight mobility strength training combination, and pivoted and got something in, got a good sweat on. I'm sore today. It was great. And so I think it's just, no matter what, even if it's just a couple push-ups and squats like we've talked about in the past, that being consistent no matter what is going to be important for momentum and the mental kind of relationship that you have with whatever practice it is. Like if you are normally cooking your own food, but instead you go and buy a rotisserie chicken and do a meal prep with a pre-made chicken, it's still some type of consistent practice, even if it was shorter or different, or kind of a little hack or an easier way or a less profound expression of the behavior. But that no matter what, the consistency matters so much. It's the most important thing, so that even if it's a reduced expression of whatever behavior, you got to still do it anyway. You have to show up and just get your foot in the door and keep that momentum going just a little bit, because if you don't do anything, that's when you'll get into trouble of having to start again, and it's so much more difficult to start again.
Yeah. Never break the chain of habit.
Yeah.
And so this is sort of like talking about perfectionism, all or nothing thinking versus like a growth mindset, fixed mindset kind of versus a growth mindset. Now, fixed mindset might look like, well, I don't have access to my gym, so I'm not going to work out. Binary. Where a growth mindset would be like, well, I don't have access to my gym, but I do have a 20-pound dumbbell or kettlebell at home, and I can just do some like lunges and squats and single leg stuff and pistols and mobility drills, and next thing you know, you've got a great workout. And was it the one you had planned? No,
not necessarily.
But are you sore today? And do you regret doing it? Hell yeah, you're sore, and hell no, you don't regret it. And so it's just like, that's the growth mindset that anybody who is where you want to be in whatever field or area we're talking about, that's how you can't be fixed in your thinking, and then also really focus on consistency, because something's got to give. Life is dynamic, and it's going to throw curveballs at you, and just having that ability to like, okay, I wanted to hit 10,000 steps, but I just got hammered. I got pulled in all these meetings. I couldn't do it, but I got 30 minutes to just go out for a walk, instead of saying, forget it. Just go out there and do it. And then so what, it wasn't 10,000, but you kept the chain of habit intact. Absolutely. And that momentum and that flywheel effect is just so important to keep you in momentum, and then therefore consistency. And also just being able to give yourself permission to like bob and weave a little bit. Yeah. Hey, couldn't do my hour-long push-pull workout today, but but I was able to get 20 minutes in. Like that ability to just be flexible with yourself is so important. Nutrition's a big one for this because people are like, no, but you know, it's not healthy to like have to like order takeout. I'm like, well, nothing is healthy or not healthy, just the amount of it makes it so. And so like if you make a good choice with your takeout, maybe it wasn't the meal you had planned, but then circumstances on the field changed and you had to improvise by just ordering a salad with like, you know, a roll. And
I was going to say, exactly.
It's the same calorie count, might not have been the meal you had planned, but that's okay in this circumstance. As long
like
as you're
some simple sushi, not some fried stuff. It's like, it's not going to be the end of the world for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Like a salad from California Chicken Cafe. Not going to be that big of a deal, depending, you know?
Yeah. So it's not like what's the only choice. It's like, what's the best choice?
Yeah.
And like that kind of gives you permission to like think a little bit more creatively, give yourself grace if plans don't work out the way you had thought, and being creative enough to just sort of improvise and pivot as circumstances in the day change. You know, 100%. And all that sort of nimble movement, I think, translates to consistency.
100%. One thing I would say as a practical tip, which is so seemingly simple and redundant, is to just put it in your calendar and map time. You know, so we're kind of talking about all these concepts and ideas, but yet again, if there's not a plan that gets down to the grassroots of when it's going to happen, the taskable daily possibility of doing it, then it's definitely not going to happen. Mm-hmm. You could reduce all of it from the big hairy boulder down to some big rocks, but if you don't have it in your calendar, it's not probably going to happen. And so it's like one of the biggest tips for being consistent is, again, you can't find time, you make time.
Yep.
Right. And you have to push something else out of the way. You got to prioritize, you got to triage, you got to shave a little bit off here. You got to wake up a little earlier, whatever it is, but put it in your calendar, because that alone will at least be there, knowing that is what you're supposed to do in that moment. Whether you do it or not, that's up to you in that moment. But now there is no like, oh, well, the week went by and I was supposed to take 3 walks this week. That was my goal, and I just didn't do it because I just didn't have the time, or I didn't know when it was going to happen, or oh shit,
it's like, well, did you schedule it?
Yeah, did you schedule it? I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, are you scheduling your workouts? Are you scheduling when you're going to cook for your meal prep? Are you scheduling even when maybe you're going to eat, depending on how nitty gritty you want to get? When are you going to go shopping? Yeah,
pick your shopping day. If it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. And if you say that you're too busy, well, then that's probably more of a time management issue.
Yeah.
Because everyone, if Jeff Bezos can make Amazon, and we all have the same 24 hours, then you could probably figure out how to work out for 30 minutes a few days a week, or get your food organized.
Something.
You know what I mean? And so like, it's just time management, and it's like, I live out of my Google Calendar, and that didn't happen until the pandemic hit. Before then, it was like different, but like now, man, I just live out of that. And then in Google Calendar, like if it's like things I got to do, I will, copy and paste like links or meeting links or, websites inside of the appointment that I've made with myself.
Yes.
So just have it be this like living, breathing thing that just keeps me on track. And if nothing else, it's just a visual reminder of my day. Oh yes, I got to do all this, and then tonight is the day that I go, practice whatever, or today is my workout day,
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of orient the rest of your life around that stuff. So it's like, oh, you got your 5:00 workout. So then someone asks you, hey, you want to grab happy hour? No, man, I can't. I'm working out from 5 to 6, but I can maybe meet you at 6:30 or 7.
Right.
Versus when there's nothing on your calendar, but he goes, hey, you want to grab happy hour? You go, oh, sure. I got nothing on me. Yeah.
Oh, I was supposed to work out today, but
I wanted to, but
I had the intent.
But when it's a little bit more of a fixed thing, now what's happening is there's that accountability where it's a real choice to violate that commitment.
You have to walk away from it.
Yeah, like you've put that in, and you're looking straight at that appointment that you made with yourself to work out, and you're choosing now to not. Versus when there's nothing on there, it's not really a choice.
Yep.
It's just like you've absolved yourself from any sort of liability because there's nothing there to begin with. So it's like, whatever. But when it's actually there, it means more.
Yeah, 100%. And then, I think there are like, I would say like MyFitnessPal, the food logging app, is a great. The technology offers just a form of accountability through reflective.
It's like a mirror.
It's a mirror of your behavior. You know, so if you log 4 times a day or four days in a row and you've never logged, it's like great job. You've logged 4 days in a row. Like it's keeping track for you, and it's some form of, like we were saying, a mirror to show your consistency. I mean, there's sleeping apps that can show your sleep quality. You have to just put your phone next to you on the bed if you don't have an Oura Ring or a watch. There's just tools that are available now that weren't as available before, that can just be some form of dance that allows you to just also have data to say like, oh wow, if I look back at the month, I only got 5 hours of sleep most of the nights. I thought I was getting enough sleep, but if I actually look at the facts,
you close that cognitive dissonance gap between what you think is actually happening and what the objective reality of it is, and then you can align your
because I know I need to get more sleep. I thought I was getting more sleep, I really wasn't. Okay, what can I do? Let me look at my schedule. I can't go to the gym so late in the evening. I can't do this. Okay, let me kind of rearrange things. Oh, and then next month you can be like, look, I got 7 hours of sleep on average. So I think there's just enough. There's technology out there now, especially.
Tracking food is a huge one for me, because it's like even this far in the game, and by all intents and purposes, like is a nutrition coaching company that I own. However, I will find myself like, here's what happens if I eat a meal then log it, like I know, you know, the window is closing on how many calories I have left for dinner.
Yeah.
And you start to make these like micro adjustments in your dinner plans, right? So so it's like, okay, 600 calories for breakfast, 700 calories for lunch. Okay, I'm at 1,300 calories now. I had a 400 calorie snack around 3. Okay, now I'm at 1,600. Okay, that only leaves me 800 calories for dinner now. And so now I'm putting my brain to work. My computer, our brains are just computers. Direct that in the right way. Put that to work now on thinking about a satisfying 800 calorie lunch. Well, maybe you want to have like a little tiny bowl of ice cream. That's going to cost a few hundred calories. Maybe your dinner might only be 500 calories now. So maybe instead of 2 cups of rice, it's just 1 cup of rice and a piece of protein, because you want to save some room for a little ice cream for dessert. But had I not put in my breakfast and my lunch and my snack, you're just throwing into the dark. You have no idea where you're at.
Yeah.
And often, even this far in the game, I think that I've only had this many calories. Once I forgot I had that. Oh yeah, there was that bar,
string cheese,
that granola,
Ferrero Rocher.
Yeah. Oh, I used mayo on that. That's right. And next thing you know, I'm like, I thought I had 1,000 calories for dinner. I only have 400. Shit.
Right.
Had I not gone back and done that, I would have totally gone over today.
Totally.
And so there's so much power in knowing your numbers. Peter Drucker School of Business says, if you want to know your number, if you want to grow your numbers, you got to know your numbers. What gets measured gets managed. What gets managed gets improved. So that's Peter Drucker. What gets measured gets managed. So nothing can happen if you're not measuring. That's step one. And then once you measure it, you can then manage it. And then once you manage something, you can then improve.
Right, because it's inevitable.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been on the full script, the write the day ahead.
Yeah.
And do the script. Just because, the wedding's coming up, and I definitely was slacking the last month and had that trip to Mexico, and it was just so much boozing and eating. And so I was like, okay, let me really do this. And it's just been kind of fun and relieving. It's kind of nice. It's like I write out what I'm doing tomorrow. It gives me a game plan. Sometimes I leave dinner open if I don't know what I'm going to do with Amanda or whatever. But it's nice to kind of come through the day and just be like, I don't have to think, even though I have to think a little bit when I plan it, that when the day comes, it's like, oh yeah, that's right.
So you're writing your food for the whole day before you start eating.
Yeah. I'll write tomorrow today.
Oh, sweet.
And I've only been doing it a day at a time.
Yeah.
But I'll just sit there because I really am trying to make this happen. There's not that many weeks. I was like, I know there's not going to be that many results beforehand, but just trying to sharpen up a little bit. And so it's like, okay. And it's kind of nice to lean into the clear path. Mm-hmm. It's all I have to do is just follow the yellow brick road once it's written for me. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm going to have my little egg breakfast sandwich on an English muffin. And then I'll have this Icelandic yogurt. And then I'll have a protein shake. Oh, and then I'll have some of these Trader Joe's sous vide chicken, and then it's just right there.
It's living an examined life.
And everything's, it's not like I'm never
you're not wanting
suffering
for more.
I'm not suffering through any of the foods I'm eating either. It's not like I'm just eating plain nasty things. I'm like, every meal, I'm like, oh, this is delicious.
Yeah, you're just controlling your domain a little bit, and not letting circumstance get the best of you. Yeah, super important. So okay, that's it. That's episode 48, guys. Consistency. I think some big takeaways here is just get clear on what you want. Data is a friend. When you measure things, you can manage them, and when you manage them, you can improve them.
Put it in your calendar.
And being flexible to bob and weave with the day, and not be so fixed and, well, this is the time, this is what I was, but like, okay, what can I do?
Consistency towards the goal, not consistency in always doing what you have planned.
Don't break the chain of habit.
Yeah.
Track some numbers so you get some better data. Yeah, and that's really it. All right, team. See y'all next time for episode 49. Peace.
Peace out.